asked, what kind of insurance should I have for my preschool? Now, it really depends whether you're at a home preschool or whether you have a commercial building. If you're at a home preschool, you don't have to do insurance for your preschool, but it's a choice that you can choose if you want to do it or not. Let me kind of go through the reasons why you might choose to do it, and then I'll talk about the commercial liability insurance a little bit later. So with a home insurance, of course you do have your home insurance, right? But we're talking more preschool insurance. When I got started, I didn't know about insurance and should I do it or not, right? I had my home insurance policy, but that covered things like fire or other damage. It certainly didn't cover my business or protect me in any manner. You guys might remember my whole conversation about sole proprietorship versus LLCs. If not, go watch that other video. But as far as a home preschool, I didn't think there was much risk. When you're doing your home preschool, you're pretty much minimizing everything. It's a small environment that you know the environment really well. It's your home property. You're minimizing any kind of risk that the students might be doing or not doing. For instance, you're not going to be having them jumping off couches or just, roughhousing or just being kind of crazy, or especially outside in the playground. You're going to make sure they're not running out into the street, things like that. However, there's always those opportunities for a child to get injured in your care, and that's where insurance comes into play. So if you want that peace of mind that basically says, you know what? I know that if anything happened, I'm going to be as diligent as I can. Obviously, I'm going to try to minimize risk. I'm going to try to always supervise the children with all eyes and ears as much as I possibly can. But just in case, I would get a liability insurance policy for my additional preschool. And the way that you do that is with a rider on your home insurance policy. And that liability insurance handles any kind of concerns if a child got injured in your care. So let's say, as best as you could, you were trying to make sure everybody stayed safe, but a student, because they're 3 and they're still trying to figure out their bodies, was on the top of the slide and toppled off, right? And maybe broke an arm. Now, one of two things could happen after you call the parents to pick up that kiddo. Number one, the parent could understand that maybe their child's a little clumsy, or even though you did your best, they understand and they're not blaming you or asking you for any money. And so things go on and you apologize profusely, and they forgive you, right? And they go take their child to the doctor, their child gets that cast and gets it set, and life goes on. They're still in your preschool, they're great preschool parents, etc. That's the first one. The second one, however, is, let's say that the preschool parents all of a sudden just blow up and say, how in the world did this happen? What were you doing? I don't trust you. I think this could have totally been prevented, and they sue you or your preschool. In that situation, if you don't have liability insurance, them suing you can come after anything in your business. If you have a sole proprietorship, they can come after your business assets and your personal assets. If you have an LLC, they can only come after your business assets, because it basically puts a protection around any personal assets. Now, that's if you didn't have insurance. If you did have liability insurance, the liability insurance would pay for any of the damages that the lawyer or the judge was coming after you for because of the accident and the injury. So that's what the liability insurance is for. It's to protect you if there was any injury in your care. So would I suggest to get liability insurance for your home preschool? It's really up to you. Some people can get it on a rider on their policy really easily, and others sometimes have a little bit of difficulty depending on their insurance carrier. My suggestion is to call up Farm Bureau, because I found them to be very helpful. And when I had our home preschool, we did a rider on our home insurance policy. Now, when we grew and we got our schoolhouse, that was a completely different ballgame, because now it was a commercial property, whereas my home was residential zoned. When it's a commercially zoned property and maybe there's a lease involved, or just when you have a big property, you want to protect yourself as much as possible. You usually have a larger school, more families, more chances for risk, more teachers, which means you're at less control. And I 100% always will recommend that you get liability insurance when you go into a commercial building. If you lease, you will be required to get a liability insurance policy. It's not difficult though, guys. I know that some of these words, licensing and insurance, sound scary, but they're not, okay? I'm here to just kind of chill them out and just let you know that they're not a big deal. They're just something you haven't gone through before. And after you've gone through it, you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, that was not as big of a deal as I made it out to be, right? Sometimes you just have to start doing the thing and then you find the confidence doing it. Hey, quick question. Does the idea of getting a job and putting your kids in daycare make you want to curl up in a ball and cry? That's exactly how I felt when I became a single mom overnight and had to create a full-time income in 30 days. The idea of leaving my kids, it was unthinkable. I want to help you stay home with your kids, create a consistent income, make a difference in children's lives, but not getting a job, not putting your kids in daycare, not starting a home daycare. There is a third option, and that option is to start your preschool. Guess what? I want to get this copy of my book in your hands for free. Yes, that's right. I want to ship you my book for free. Inside, I reveal my story of how I started my preschool 10 years ago, and also how for the past 10 years, I've helped thousands of women start their own successful preschools. Over 300 pages helping you to teach a local or an online preschool. It's all in here, every step by step. It's here. I want to get this copy to you. Here's what you do. Simply go to freepreschoolbook.com and we'll get you a copy right away, or click the link in the description. Literally, hello, I want to give this to you. I can't put it through the screen, but let's get it. Click the link. Can't wait to get it to you. Let's go. Now, as far as a commercial policy, how you do that is, again, I would suggest calling up Farm Bureau. What they do is they give you an application to fill out, and then they farm it out to a ton of different commercial policy brokers. I don't know what that word means, but other companies that do commercial liability insurance, and then they decide if they want to give you insurance or not. And so they'll send it out, and then they'll get a couple policies back that'll say, okay, we had 2 companies come back that said, yes, they'll give you insurance. Here's how much this one will cost, and here's how much this one will cost. And so in that situation, it's like, awesome, this one costs $60, this one costs $70, are they basically the exact same? Yeah, they're pretty much the same. Cool, I'll choose the $60 one, right? The things you want to be very careful about when you're filling out those applications are these points. Number 1, you want to make sure that you don't transport anybody, period. Okay, so if you transport people in your preschool, you're going to need to have all sorts of different things. I don't even go into it because I choose not to do it, and I suggest that you choose not to do it too. Remember, we're not a daycare. We don't need to transport people to field trips. The parents transport their kids to field trips. During events, we don't need to transport. We don't have to transport anywhere. So there's no specific reason that you should ever be transporting a child. And that way, your liability insurance, when you fill that out and you mark not transporting, that is a good thing. Companies like that. Number 2, they want to know, do you have pets on your property? Okay, specifically dogs. And in that situation, if you're in a commercial property, you probably don't have any animals on your property, and you probably don't have any dogs. So it's another great thing to check no on. Another one is, do you have a pool on the commercial property? Suggesting don't do it. If you have a pool, then you definitely have to have it gated, but hopefully you're able to check no on that as well. And then of course there's other common sense things. Do you have a fence around the playground area so students can't escape? Do you have enough mulch or rubber bark underneath your playground areas? And then after you submit the application and they come back and you choose one, what they will do is they will send out somebody to your property, and that person will walk around, make sure everything looks okay, make sure all the exits are open, really just looking at more of the grounds. And I think they also go inside, but they're not looking for things like, fire extinguishers and the temperature of water, things like your health department or your fire department are going to look for in a licensing process. They're looking more for hazards. Okay, they are literally risk assessors right now, and they're looking around saying, what could happen to a child if they were in this place? And they're looking for any kind of risk at all. You'll want to go on the grounds yourself and kind of like take that kind of perspective before you ever have them come over. And of course, obviously before you start your preschool, just kind of looking around, I see that maybe that over there, that's like a really sharp edge. We should probably just cover that with something. Or for instance, we had a big metal pole in the middle of our really nice concrete pad in our backyard of our schoolhouse. And it was awesome because it held up the patio above it. But what was not awesome is that if kiddos were kind of roughhousing or whatever, their head could bonk the pole. What we used was we got some padding with swim noodles. Do you guys remember those long noodles that you can take and swim and float with them? Well, we just cut down a line and we put those onto this metal pole, and then we just literally duct taped it. And that was enough for us because we just wanted to protect the children's head if they ever did land into that metal pole. So you got to put those risk glasses on to try to figure out what are the things that that person might be noticing, and then just fix it. And you'll have no issue getting your liability policies. I've had to go through getting new policies every couple of years, and every year we've gotten approved. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those things you just have to go through the steps for. So my suggestion, give Farm Bureau a call. I had great success with them, and I think you will too. Post in the comments below, do you have home liability insurance as a rider, or do you have commercial liability insurance for your preschool program? I'd love to know. And as always, please comment, like, subscribe, and share so I can get you more of these videos.